Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Scorpio energy, and like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Scorpio energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy. We've all got to make decisions in our Scorpio nature about what our truth is, and are we on the right path? Are we on the wrong path? You know, the shadowy energy can be that we want to stay in our comfort zone. We might like to do something different, have more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams, but, you know, we battle within ourselves, and some people are battling within themselves. And other people have made a decision they're going to move forward in life differently, and some other people have decided they're going to stay where they're at, you know. We all change and heal and grow and look at life differently at different times. And sometimes if we have people in our life where we or they are moving forward in life differently, you know, teach their own. With a lot of people are like, you do you, and they say you do you. You know, we can still be in family relationships and friendships with people. We don't have to be motivated and inspired by all the same things. But the big problem comes up with if it's a really close friend and things seem to be going in different directions, or a romantic relationship. At the end, we're going to get out some cards to see what could be coming up for people that they don't see coming, depending on if they harness a more high vibe Scorpio nature or a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio nature. Scorpio energy in high vibe is about exploring the mysteries of life. Scorpio's emotional water sign energy. We're emotionally complex human beings. Some people prefer not to get into their emotional complexity, and they might like to keep that, kind of reject that aspect of themselves, and maybe more defensive to their more loving, intuitive, emotional nature, because they prefer to live more from their mind than their heart. Might prefer to make life more about trying to control people, or being about themselves, being about things of the world that they'd rather indulge in, that they make more important in their life than love. And high vibe people have looked at life from a higher perspective, and they have a dream of being in deep, meaningful relationships. And sometimes, you know, we're in mismatched relationships. So let's go look at the top row. The reason for the top row's reading is the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, also represented by the Star card, which can talk about our dreams and how we view life. And high vibe people see the truth that it's supposed to be about love. Love is what makes it all worthwhile. I'd like to be in a career field I love. I'd like to be in friendships and relationships with people who I love and who love me. I could make my life about being defensive or being all about myself or about other things, but then I'm probably going to hang out with other people that might be defensive, don't want to do love, want to make their life about indulging in other things other than love. And I've already found out the truth that I don't like being in relationships with people like that. So then we have the Moon card, the Wheel of Fortune, the Queen of Cups, and the Ten of Pentacles. So we can all be defensive to change, and we'll talk about why. Well, down here we have the Four of Wands and the Ten of Wands. And the Four of Wands can mean there's people we would like to work together with, and we'd like to move forward with those people. But we could have already put in and offered truth and love to people and put a lot of work and effort to try to move a relationship forward. You know, high vibe energy is about love. You treat other people the way you like to be treated. You're just, you're fair. You get out of your shadowy, defensive, egoic nature. You listen to your intuition instead of your fear, your insecurity, or your more immature, self-indulgent nature. And we can have love for some people that are still caught up in the illusion of the world or themselves or indulgence, and they got some lessons to learn about love. And, you know, all I can do is offer people truth and love, and if they still are defensive and they emotionally are more interested or caught up in the illusion of the world or want to stay in their comfort zone. In order to move forward in life, the truth sets us free. And the Ten of Pentacles is Virgo energy, where we kind of free ourselves emotionally from those things that manipulate us. Our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, fear of change, being caught up in the illusion of the world, making those things so important in our life that we kind of gave up on believing in our dreams. And high vibe people, though they can have love for people, and there's things of the world that they love and they like doing and enjoying, but the whole thing about high vibe energy is about being balanced. And the Ten of Pentacles can talk about, I do have my worldly nature, which is like my Five of Pentacles nature, but my other Five of Pentacles that make up me, yes, I have my aspects of the world and things of the world that I want and that I enjoy, but I also am balanced within myself, where I also want truth and love and justice and fairness and character and integrity and growing and healing and maturing myself. I don't want to keep being defensive. I don't want to keep repeating an old pattern. High vibe energy is continuing to grow and heal and mature yourself so that you kind of keep shedding old layers of yourself, old ways of being and old ways of viewing life. Just like when you were 15 and 18 and 21 and 25, you had a way of viewing life and living life, but you're not those ages anymore. You kind of detach from those ways of viewing life, and you faced your fears, believed in your dreams, and you gave birth to like a new version of yourself to keep moving forward, to keep like growing to your full potential, learning lessons in life, and wanting it to be balanced. I don't want to make it where I just let my heart run my life, or my worldly nature run my life, or my mind, or my fear, or my lust, or my greed. I want to stay balanced. I want to learn these lessons, and high vibe Virgo is when we're learning these lessons. You know, we live a certain phase of life, and it can be great, and there can be things about it that we love, but eventually it starts to feel overwhelming in the Ten of Wands, because we're trying to keep moving forward, kind of when our intuition is telling us it's time to detach in this way of living life. It's kind of like we've learned, because high vibe Sagittarius energy is about learning lessons in life too. We've kind of learned everything we needed to learn here. And if we keep trying to move forward like, no, 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 I want to keep doing this over and over and over, it kind of becomes overwhelming because we're being resistant to change and facing our fears and believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams and offering love to our fears. The moon can talk about the shadows, you know. Well, I have fear of change. I'd be moving into unknown territory. I haven't been there before. I would have to listen to like my intuition and love to guide me. I'd rather just stay here and do this. I know how to do this. And then we can have people in our life who are like, yes, and I want you to stay here too, because I don't want to step out of my comfort zone, and I don't want to have to look at life from a higher perspective, and I don't want to have to offer love to my fears. Let's do things the way we've always been doing it. But, you know, it gets old. Just like if you kept acting like a 15-year-old, when you see other people growing and maturing and facing their fears, it's like, why don't I grow and mature and face my fears and detach from these more immature ways of being and believe in myself and believe that I'm capable of being and taking on more responsibility like an 18-year-old. And we did the same thing, and I think we're meant to do that throughout our life. But for some people, you know, everybody could have their idea of the dream life, and the night of, or the moon is Pisces energy, also emotional water sign energy, and about, how we dreamed of moving forward in life and what we thought would be emotionally fulfilling. And some people can kind of be loving and nurturing people, but they had a certain way of viewing life, and it could be just still more caught up in the world, or they let their fear and their insecurities and things like that kind of manipulate them, where they're afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. And so it can kind of keep them a little stuck and stagnant. And other people can be in relationship with them and they're feeling kind of overwhelmed. I thought we were all going to deal with our fears and our insecurities, and I thought we were all motivated to keep moving forward in truth and love and having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in each other and in love. And I thought we were all motivated and inspired to free ourselves from those things that manipulate us. But that does take work and effort. And Scorpio is a fixed sign energy, which can be, it's hard. And Scorpio talks about our complex emotions we have with people. We can be in friendships or relationships or jobs, and there can be a lot of things about it that we find overwhelming. And we do have love for people, and there can be a part of us that's like, God, I want to leave. I'd really like to give them a piece of my mind, But then we love them, and so, we can be loving and encouraging, trying to help everybody do this work. But the whole thing is, the Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. And the Fives talk about change. And the difference between the One Sword and the Five of Swords is the Four of Swords, which is about healing from past pain and heartbreak. Some people haven't healed from some past pain and heartbreak, and that's what makes them feel so overwhelmed and turn their back to feeling more stable and grounded and abundant within themselves. And, some people can choose, I don't have to heal. I don't have to deal with the truth of that. I can ignore it. I can just keep moving forward. But it affects how they interact with other people. It affects how they make decisions in their life. If they still haven't reconciled themselves with past pain and heartbreak or fear or insecurities or being so much up in their ego about what they look like and what they wear and how much money they have and competing with everyone in the world instead of just going and living their authentic life, all those things still manipulate them, and they might not want to see the truth. And again, when we're ready to deal with the truth, we will. And we've all been in friendships and relationships and jobs where other people could have not put up with that kind of behavior, but oh no, I love them. Oh, I'm going to keep putting in all this work to get them to change. And that's what's kind of seeing the truth. Again, the Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords is about change. We could communicate truth and love and be loving and truthful and just and fair and motivating and inspiring to people. But they have to want to change. They have to want to deal with the truth of whatever it is that manipulates them. And some people's truth is, I like to play the role of being a loving person in people's life, and I like people viewing me as loving. But if those people do this work within themselves, because the Four of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self, and they kind of wrap their brain around this game of life, because Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. And if those people put in work and effort while they're in a relationship or a friendship with me or a work situation, and those people kind of free themselves, because the truth sets us free. All those things of my past that used to manipulate me and my past fears and insecurities and people in my life who are maybe defensive or egotistical or more materialistic or more immature that I love that didn't move forward with me, I've seen the truth. The truth is, they got to deal with these things within themselves, and if they don't work through those things to free themselves from it, they are going to be someone who is operating more from the fear, the insecurity, the pride, the ego, the defensiveness, the immaturity, have these ideas about what they view as a emotionally fulfilling relationship, and their idea of an emotionally fulfilling relationship and their idea of the dream life and dream relationships with people could be completely different than my idea. And some people, again, shadowy Scorpio, can be people who I like to kind of be nurturing and loving in a relationship, but I don't really want to see the truth is supposed to be about love. And that's where it can be more about ego. I like people to view me as a nurturing, loving person. But if you ever start to take over that role within yourself, because some people, whether they're male or female, the feminine figures in tarot can talk about how we think and feel. They can like to play that role in people's life, which can be, I kind of like to be like a parent figure in people's life. You be the child, I'll be like the parent. I like playing that role. I'll be the boss, you be like the employee in this relationship. And I like to be in relationships with people who have fears and insecurities, because then they're really look to me like I'm a shining star and that they should move forward with me in a relationship. But eventually people can kind of find that overwhelming, and the truth is I wanted a more balanced relationship. I also could love you. I could view you as loving, but I want to move forward in a more just and fair and balanced relationship. And I've done some work within myself to get out of my more codependent nature and work through some of my fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs to be willing to feel balanced and stable within myself. I'm not looking for someone to be like a parent figure to me. I want a partner. And that's when some of those people who like to play the nurturing role in people's life, but it's kind of a little bit out of ego. I like you being more codependent. I like you viewing me like a shining star. So they try to present themselves and view themselves as high vibe people, but it's kind of defensive of change. No, let's do this. Let's not ever do that. Let's keep moving forward like this. This is what I find really abundant. And this is what I like. This is like my dream relationship. But it is kind of like you are supposed to keep staying in your fear, your insecurity. So it's like they don't want you to grow to your full potential. You keep being kind of less than. Keep viewing them as, oh my gosh, like you make them God in your life or something, right? And you don't listen to your own intuition and, maybe have your own dreams and aspirations and invest in your own unique talent, skills, and interests. It's like, well, then you'd kind of be like your own shining star in your own life, and I don't like that. I like to be the shining star in your life. And I'm kind of defensive to doing more equal give and take and looking at life from a higher perspective, that you do have your own dreams and your own aspirations, and you're not a child anymore, and you don't want to get back in a parent-child dynamic all your life. And we all could have gotten in relationships being a lot more codependent, right? And some people have decided, boy, if there's going to be a codependent relationship, I'm playing the boss or the parent role. I am not going to be the more codependent person where other people are like the boss and the authority of me. And for some people, they think that's the only two choices. Well, either I have to indulge someone or someone has to indulge me. That is a shadowy relationship. Let's see what's here. Okay, yeah. I was looking for the Taurus card because shadowy Taurus is about our philosophy of life. And it is more of a, because I have these certain things of the world, or I have these things that you want, or I look a certain way, or I have a certain status or image or social clout or money or power. Whoever has more of those things that someone wants puts them in a power position, some people feel. And then that person is kind of like the boss. For some people, that's why they don't want to do love. They could feel that, because people who manipulate people who love them kind of can be in a power position. But that would be someone who's actually kind of shadowy and self-indulgent and bossy and have a skewed idea of what's just and fair. But some people have grown up in families like that. And, when we were children, we could have wanted things to go differently, but things didn't go differently. And we were codependent, and we kind of were dependent on people in our life for our stability and our security and wanting them to love us, that we kind of had to go along with the flow. And the thing is, we can kind of repeat that pattern into adulthood, and we could look to other people to love us and all those things because we haven't learned to love ourselves and feel more stable and grounded within ourselves and love and believe in ourselves. So we're kind of defensive to believing in our dreams, and then we can get in these more codependent relationships or imbalanced relationships, and it can be kind of like a more transactional relationship. And that is the kind of relationship that some people who hide in the Four of Swords Libra energy and the Taurus energy, they don't have to be a Libra or a Taurus sun sign. It's just how they view life and relationships and what they think is just and fair. And they kind of hide that they think is kind of just and fair, that it's a little bit more about them, and that they do kind of have this more transactional view of relationship. And that if they have these things that other people could want, you just want to be in a relationship? Do you want a relationship more than I want a relationship? Well, then you have to indulge me. Do I have a certain status, image, money, or materialism that you want, and I have more than you? Then you kind of got to indulge me. And they might create the illusion that they want like a more, I view the Queen of Cups of Scorpio energy, that they want a more deep, meaningful, stable, abundant relationship, that they look at life from a higher perspective. I'm not selfish. I'm not greedy. I'm not egotistical. I'm not self-centered, male or female. But really, it's just an illusion they create. So that loving people who are more balanced will get in a relationship with them and move forward with them in a relationship. They might be in it more for what they can get out of it. It's good for their ego. It's good for their image. Got to be able to be in a relationship, look like a shining star, look like they have what other people have in the world. But they're defensive to the truth, which is love. They live more from their mind than their heart. Or, I like to play this role in people's life, and I will be nurturing and loving to you, but only if you keep staying overwhelmed. I need to be kind of the boss, and you need to follow my lead, and it's a little bit more about me than you. And if you ever do this work within yourself to free yourself from things that manipulate you, and you learn to love yourself and offer love to the past so that you can be free of it, well then you freed yourself from things they haven't freed themselves from. And in order to keep moving forward with you, because now the relationship dynamic has changed. You're not, whatever energy you were in when you could have gotten in the relationship and they were in their energy, it could have been an equally out of balance relationship. Or you're both kind of in codependent energy, both looking for other people to love you because you both had to learn to love yourself. Common thing. And if one person kind of frees themselves, it's kind of like, in tarot they talk about, You know, you went to another timeline. And it's the same thing like when we were growing up. You know, people wanted to hang out being like 18-year-olds, and you wanted to be more like an 18-year-old. And it's like, I don't want to hang out with people doing that. I've already been there and done that. Let's go do this. And the other people are like, no, I'm not ready to go do that. I want to keep doing this. And they can try to move forward. But if you really haven't seen the truth, and you haven't healed or grown or matured yourself, and you really have the same old way of viewing life that you had before, and emotionally you really kind of really want to live your life like before, it can feel really overwhelming. Like other people are trying to get people to act more mature, or present themselves as more mature, or seem more open-minded, or seem more self-aware, or you know, like they're just more stable or grown or mature than they really are. And it's really overwhelming. You know, you can kind of fake that you're more stable and mature, like getting a job that you're not qualified for, you know? And eventually it's just really overwhelming. And then they might not, and might get mad, and that's when you can see some people's shadowy nature come out. And that's kind of surprising, because you viewed them as loving, and then they're being defensive because they want to stop you from moving forward the way you're moving forward, because it is overwhelming for them. And they might have some things that they haven't healed in the Four of Swords energy in their foundation, and kind of that they're just more defensive to change. They could feel like people should stay. You know, it's like working with people in a job, and they think, well, I can be defensive, and I can be egotistical, and I can be maybe deceptive and manipulative and secretive, and I can be all these things, but you should want this job for whatever reason enough that you stay in it. You shouldn't ever love and believe in yourself enough to leave. And people can be like that in friendships and relationships. Well, I should be able to do this, and you should be fearful of loving and believing in yourself. And I am. I don't want to do things any differently. The things that manipulate them and the world and the people in their life that manipulate them, they're not willing to speak their truth and become independent of those things. They don't stand up to their own fear and insecurity and immaturity to grow and heal and mature themselves. Why are you doing that? Stop that. Get back here and do the relationship the way I want to do it. You know, and you're supposed to love me. And I was loving to you. You should stay here. I was like, but for one thing, people could start to feel like, but I don't think you're authentically loving. Shadowy, the moon can be like, people aren't in the sun energy, high vibe Leo energy. They're kind of more in shadowy Leo energy, which can be being deceptive and manipulative and prideful and egotistical and immature, instead of being illuminated by the truth that it's about love and having freed themselves from these things that manipulate them to be authentic and loving and warm and encouraging. You know, I kind of think you create an illusion. I don't think you are who you say you are. I think you have some lessons to learn that you haven't learned. And I think you're kind of defensive to really looking at life from our perspective. And I think you might be a little bit more about the world or ego or image and wanting to be in relationships more for those things, or for you to, shadowy fire sign, to indulge yourself in. I just don't really think it's love. Your idea of how you want to move forward and your truth of why you get in relationships, stay in relationships, and why you think other people should stay in it could be that it seems logical and practical, living more from your mind than your heart. This looks victorious and successful and stable. You should stay. It's like, but you're not being truthful and authentic and self-aware and mature and loving, and that I can have an authentic, deep, meaningful relationship with. You want to create this illusion that that's who you are, but I really am that. And I want to move forward in that energy. And some people are in those kind of mismatched relationships and they're feeling overwhelmed because that's not their truth. And, that can be good or bad. We all should live our truth. And we could know people, say, we could probably all think back to when we were younger, and maybe you knew someone who was a lot more outgoing and whatever, and really like, wow. And you could have become friends, but just the way they want to live their life and whatever, and just the way they are, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not really there yet. And I kind of feel overwhelmed because I feel like I'm trying to present myself as being something I'm really not there yet. And it's kind of like, I can wish you peace, and I think we can be friends if you want, but I don't know, if you got some other friends you want to go hang out with when you go do certain things, because I'm not quite there yet. And, I might hang out with my friends that are kind of more on the same page as me, and hopefully we'll all get more bold and brave and confident like you, but we're not really there yet, and we still have some growing and healing and maturing to do, and some fears and insecurities that you've worked through that we haven't worked through. And it can just feel overwhelming to try to move forward with people when it's really not where you're at, Some people right now could be trying to think, and some people don't know, with those cards not showing themselves, that they're really trying to listen to their intuition about who in their life they should move forward with. Is it the people that they're moving forward with, or the job that they have, the relationships and friendships, or certain people in their life? Or is it kind of overwhelming, and it's not aligned with their truth, or they're kind of moving forward with some people who might be a little defensive? They could be perfectly wonderful people, but, your idea of the dream life and my idea of the dream life is totally different. Big city, small city, doing this and hanging out and enjoying these kind of activities, and you kind of more like to do those activities. And, we all like to hang out with people who kind of like to do some of the same things we do. And so some people are doing this work within themselves right now, trying to heal so that they can get to the truth. And Taurus energy of the Hierophant can also represent all these different institutions of the world, family groups, friendship groups, work groups, institutions, and just our whole philosophy. And some people could have been hiding that, we can get in jobs, friendships, and relationships again where it's like, this really isn't my deal. This really isn't kind of my comfort zone. But, just like we could take a job because of, maybe we're starting to feel overwhelmed and we really need to make some more money. So we go get in a job and we move forward with it. And by worldly standards, it looks great, but it really isn't what we love or aligned with our truth, and it's overwhelming, and we don't really like working there. And the same thing can happen kind of in friendships and relationships. And then there can come a time, and some people right now, if people are making those decisions to move forward, creating an illusion and hiding the truth, not being authentic, they might not know it yet, but it is going to feel overwhelming as time goes by. Because from the Four of Wands to the Ten of Wands is the Six of Wands of Leo energy. Is what I'm moving forward with inspire me? Is it what motivates me? Is it what's aligned with my true self? Or is it more out of ego or fear or insecurity or codependency, or just want to feel better? And I'm kind of If it's a romantic relationship, getting in a relationship just because I feel overwhelmed, well, you're going to end up feeling more overwhelmed. So the whole thing is to try to listen to your intuition. Treat other people the way you would like to be treated. Don't use other people because of your fear, your insecurity, or your codependency, or your lust, or your greed. If you want to be in relationships for those reasons, be truthful. Then everybody else has the free will to make their decisions of if they want to engage in that or not. And the people who already did create that illusion, oh no, this is my truth. Oh no, I think this is victorious and successful. Oh no, this is my dream. Some of those people could have made a decision. Instead of healing, they had an idea. I know. That takes time and effort and energy and effort. I'm not going to do that. Let's go get in a relationship. Let's go invest in someone. That's the answer. And so when we don't deal with the truth and make decisions out of truth and love and compassion for ourselves, compassion for other people, it's going to feel overwhelming. And then people really have a hard time speaking their truth and moving away from some situations they should have moved away from because they created this illusion about how wonderful it was. And then we can get in our ego and we're defensive because then what will people say and what people will judge us and, we're fallible human beings. Admit the truth. I think I got in this more out of fear or insecurity or I wasn't seeing things clearly is what, being in our shadow nature and the moon can be like, sometimes we got in relationships and we thought it was going to be wonderful. And then as time went by, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Our philosophy of life, the kind of relationships we like to be in, our truth is different. I didn't know some people hadn't healed. I didn't know people were more stubborn or defensive, more egotistical, more immature, kind of like more codependent relationships. And as time has went by, I've kind of seen the truth of it. And the thing is, high vibe people set themselves free. I can stay trying to change other people. Well, everybody's got to learn lessons in life. And sometimes, high vibe energy too is about shining your light and being a leader in the world. I can love you, but if you are being not truthful, if you're being more about yourself, if you're kind of more immature and defensive or prideful or egotistical or more materialistically driven or whatever you want to go indulge in, you're going to have to go learn some lessons just like I've had to learn. I can't make other people keep things in perspective. I can't make people heal. I can't make people look at life differently. All we can do is offer love and encouragement and be a good example in the world. And sometimes being a good example is that if people are not telling the truth, people are being more about themselves, people are being defensive, people don't want to want like reward without effort. They want all the perks and benefits, but they don't want to put in the work and effort to get out of their mental conflict, and they always look to things outside of them to be the answer, and they could have looked to you to be the answer. The thing is, until they do the work within themselves to deal with their own mental conflict, they're just dragging that baggage with them. But some people think, no, I don't have to heal. I don't have to put in that work and effort. I'm overwhelmed. But I don't think that's the answer. I'd have to put work and effort to look at life from a higher perspective. I'd have to have some hope and faith and belief in myself. No, I'm just going to go get in a relationship with someone. I'm sure that's the answer. And then they go get in a relationship with someone and they still have all their baggage and their issues. When you first get in a relationship, it can be exciting and all that stuff and the endorphins, and it can kind of take our mind off of some of those issues. But eventually the issues bubble back up again. And then those people can become defensive to the people they're in a relationship with because you didn't do your job. because they basically, that can be how they view relationships. You are supposed to be the answer to me feeling more stable and grounded and abundant within myself. You're supposed to heal me. It's like, I can't heal you. I can only offer you love and encouragement and compassion and resources. You have to do that work within yourself. And some people are like, no, that's not my philosophy of life. No, you go. I'll go find someone else. I'm sure they'll be the answer. It's like people trying different alcohol drinks to be the answer to relieve their problems. Or different drugs. Well, that one didn't work. I'm going to go try a different one. Or gambling or whatever, They don't see the truth. And they're defensive to the truth. And they're defensive to healing. And some people are defensive to seeing the truth about themselves. Maybe they are kind of immature and they have illusions about relationships. Maybe they have some outdated ideas about relationships. Some people are full of themselves and think people should just want to stay in a relationship with them, even if they're not just and fair and act with character and integrity or willing to bring a dream into reality. Let's just indulge in the relationship. I think this is great. This is my truth. I just want to indulge. I have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. I just think because of whatever I got going on in the world, people will just want to keep staying in a relationship with me and never move forward in a more stable, committed, loving relationship. Some people don't want to get married. I don't think that's just and fair. Well, other people do want to get married. Other people want people to make a commitment. Some people have a lot of fear of, and it's all things that have to be negotiated, but some people are hiding that truth, and then they get in relationships and create the illusion they're willing to bring certain dreams into reality, like that's their truth, and then that's not their truth at all. They just were overwhelmed, were defensive, could have been mad at someone else, got in a relationship with someone else because they were mad at someone else. Trying to manipulate maybe someone else. Oh, I'm going to get in a relationship with you and create the illusion I'm willing to move forward with you, but I'm really mad at this person back here. And emotionally, I'm waiting for that person to be overwhelmed that I move forward with someone else. And I'm waiting for them to come towards me. And then you can go and I'll go back and get in a relationship with them. High vibe people are offering truth and love to people. Some people in their life might have some of these issues that they're dealing with and some of them are doing this work. Some of them are standing up to their own more immature nature. I need to grow up and mature myself. I have these loving people that I could have a dream come into reality with. I need to quit indulging my more immature nature, and I need to start putting in some work and effort to heal my more immature nature, bossy nature, stubborn nature, or these people are going to move on without me. Wish me peace, but they're not going to put up with my shit, And other people, it can be a lot of work. And then some people give up and it's like, screw it. Let's just go do whatever and be with whoever and do whatever. And the people that they could have had a dream come into reality with won't be coming into reality because they were either defensive to putting in the work and effort to heal, to walk the talk. That's high vibe Taurus. I was like, the illusion's good enough. And then they think it'll be good enough and, might not even love this person, or this person does indulge me in my ego or my immaturity or my defensiveness. The whole thing is they just gave up on believing in their dreams of growing to their full potential and overcoming their fears and their more immature nature, so their shadow nature kind of runs their life. And other people are growing and healing and don't want their more shadow nature to run their life, and they don't want to stay in relationships feeling overwhelmed and defensive. I want to be in relationships with people who work together with me from love And some people are working through that to speak their truth and win their own more immature nature. It's like, let's not work on this relationship. Let's not stay at this job. Let's go be immature. They offer love to their fears and insecurities, and they keep putting in work and effort to stay focused on the future and focused on their truth, because they've already lived life and they know if they plant bad seeds, they're going to get a bad harvest. There's a whole bunch of other people in the world that would be more than happy to be in a relationship with people who give up. Oh, perfect. Are you codependent? Let's create an illusion what a great relationship this is, but oh, by the way, I'm kind of more about me, kind of defensive. I've got my own issues that I don't want to deal with. This is going to be great. We'll create the illusion that this is our dream life and that we're all more stable and grown and matured and all those things than we are. And if you keep moving forward, eventually you will work through the mental conflict of leaving some of these things behind, because you put in this work and effort to keep focused on truth and love and looking at life from a higher perspective, keeping things in perspective, and you're on your way to having your dream come into reality. And then some of the people in your life who wanted to be in a relationship with you, but they wanted to do it in this old way, now feel overwhelmed because they know they're repeating an old pattern, that it is more superficial and shallow, that it is an illusion, and they're mad that you love and believe in yourself and you're going to have your dreams come into reality. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy that they might not see coming up? So high vibe people see, I can have love for people and keep my distance from them. And it can be hard and it can be confusing, but as I'm moving forward in truth and love, and they keep being upset and indulging themselves in their defensive nature and their ego nature and their self-centered nature, or bossy or controlling or more materialistic nature, or whatever it is they go indulge in that they think is the answer, or trying to manipulate you, the more it keeps showing you every day that we totally view life differently and our truth is completely different. What's coming up that you might not see coming? The Two of Cups. Why? Because of the Five of Wands and the Eight of Cups. You had inner conflict. The Eight of Cups is Pisces energy of walking away from the competition, your own shadow nature, other people in shadowy energy that could have had you caught up emotionally in Scorpio energy. Hard to leave, hard to walk away, because you do have these complex, like contradictory feelings towards people, but kind of seeing through the illusion. And you end up in the energy of love, aligned with your more hopeful, believing nature. And from the 2 to the 8, it's letting go of the 6 of Cups. If there's people in my life, which is also Scorpio energy, if there's people in my life, the 6 of Cups can talk about people who want to repeat this old pattern. It's just like, say you're in a relationship with someone, you're over the age of 25, and you're moving forward in life, and then, slowly over time, the other person doesn't seem to be putting in work and effort to move a relationship forward. And then maybe they start to kind of repeat some patterns that kind of remind you of like some relationships when you were like age 25. And it's like, whoa, wait, what the hell? I've been here and done this, and I thought we were all past that age, and I thought we'd all learn to offer love to the situation and be willing to speak our truth and not be trying to kind of hide the truth or be deceptive or be manipulative or be more bossy or controlling or egotistical or whatever. And you're repeating an old pattern, and I have some inner conflict about that because I've already been there and I've done that. And I don't want to go back to that. So I'm going to offer myself that cup of love in my Pisces energy to my Scorpio energy. Pisces energy is mutable, emotional water sign energy. It's kind of like in our Cancer energy that we get into new things. Then in our Scorpio energy, we invest in things and we put the work and effort. And then it's our Pisces energy that helps us have hope and faith and belief in our dreams and to love ourselves, to see the truth that we can have love for some people that have inner conflict about maybe being more independent or have their own things that they're emotionally attached to that they have a hard time detaching from, which could be their ego, could be other people, it could be a friend group or a family group, their original family. And to become more independent of those people or the world at large, or their fear, or their defensive nature, or their more being about themselves nature, all of that causes them a lot of inner conflict and defensiveness. It's like, well, until you work through it, I'm going to stay in the energy of love and keep moving forward. If you want to repeat some type of pattern, or there's other people that is your primary foundation that you look to for your emotional fulfillment or stability or security, even if those are friends or family members that you can't have a romantic relationship with, but if they're the priority foundation in your life, then I hope you enjoy your life. But sometimes they can kind of make those people like a third party in your relationship. And it's like the third party was supposed to be hope and faith and belief and love in our relationship. And if they're a third party, then I will excuse myself and you can make your life about those things or those people. But that's not my truth. And I'm going to become independent of you, away from my inner conflict about it, away from my emotional confusion about it, because I offered truth and love to all of it and everyone. Doesn't mean I wasn't really angry for a while. But eventually, love is what helped me heal. And I'm not the same person I was before. I've become independent of an old way of viewing life and living life, and some other people want to keep living their life that way. And they can. They have free will. I just don't want to keep living my life that way. I offered them truth and love, but until they're ready to move forward in life differently, and they may never, and I need to see the truth of that. And I believe that the divine has a plan for my life. And I'm going to keep moving forward in truth and love. And I think as you do that, being very stable and grounded and balanced and loving and in the energy of hope and faith and belief, there's going to be other people that maybe could even want, that's going to cause other people inner conflict, because they could want to move forward with you, whether they're to be friends with you, but they have people in their life that maybe are like, you get back here, don't you hang out with them, I don't want them to get any thoughts in your head, or romantic interest. And some people eventually could be kind of fighting over you, and there's other people who are going to want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you. And I think you're just going to get to know people. Like, I am willing to get to know people. If anybody from my past comes towards me, if people I meet in my future, I'm willing to get to know people. But I'm going to kind of stay in this place of balance until I know the truth about what kind of drives and motivates them, what their dreams are, what they find emotionally fulfilling, if they seem to have some self-insight and self-awareness, if they are lacking in that, or they're very egotistical or materialistic or whatever, And the people who seem to be on the same page as me and have healed to the same degree and look at life to the same degree of life lessons that I've learned, I'm going to move forward with those people. And the people who haven't, I'm going to kind of keep my distance from. They kind of stay in the friend group. And some people will really kind of be in their ego that you freed yourself to move forward and have hope and faith and belief in yourself, because they're staying back and repeating this old pattern and maybe creating an illusion and feeling overwhelmed but defensive of speaking their truth and believing in themselves. And some of those people wanted you to stay in a relationship with them, but you moved on. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy that they might not see coming? The Chariot and the King of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. When some people are kind of being shadowy in a relationship, they might want to stay in denial of the truth. They might think, I can keep being this way, and I know these people love me, and I know they'll keep indulging me. I'm sure they'll never leave. Well, they maybe have had some people in their life. The Queen of Wands can be people who want to have that new beginning with them. They want to move forward in a victory and success and in relationships and work together with them. But eventually the high vibe people see the truth. My dream isn't going to come into reality, is it? Because you harness these energies in a more shadowy way, and I harness these energies in a more high vibrational way. Cancer and Capricorn energy is how I view those, which is being balanced between your more emotional nature and worldly nature, because you've been illuminated to the truth and you're inspired more by love. And the other people kind of use their emotions more manipulatively in a relationship from their ego. I'm going to use my emotions, my sexuality, my words, my charm, my charisma, my money, everything I got. I'm going to present myself as loving, but it's really more of a strategy. And I really operate more from my ego. But I do all those things to try to get people to get in a relationship with me and stay in a relationship with me. But I really am more about defensive to love, because I operate more from my ego, and I might be more ego-driven, materialistically driven, and they want to stay in the relationship maybe because it's good for their ego and image, or they want to go get in a relationship with someone who's got money. Some of you could have had people who turn their back on you because they're so caught up in the illusion. And they really want to, didn't believe that if they put work and effort with the people aligning with their loving nature and other people in their life who are loving, well, I don't know if I'm going to look as victorious and successful as I want, or have the status or the image that I want. And they're just more ego-driven. And so they turn their back on those people, created probably an illusion about why they didn't move forward with those people. But they don't really want to walk the talk. They're kind of a little bit more about themselves and inspired to make their life more about these things of the world or themselves. And when they have some high vibe people, other high vibe people are going to see through the illusion and they're going to move on. And some of those people are doing that right now. Some of those people are telling some shadowy people, I see the truth. I've been loving, nurturing, and supportive, and it seems like it's just so overwhelming. Such a chore for you. It should come naturally and free willingly. And I don't want someone to feel overwhelmed being in a relationship with me. If this is not your truth, it's not your truth. If this isn't how you want to live your life and you want to go live your life some other way, then go live it. This is how I want to move forward in emotionally balanced, mature, authentic, loving, deep, meaningful relationships with people where that is naturally who they are, not someone who's trying to create an illusion, and it's overwhelming for them to try to create an illusion that's who they are when they're not. And eventually, if people keep being more motivated by being defensive to love, eventually they're going to end up in relationships with people who are in the same energy as they are, that are willing to move forward with them in a relationship, but maybe more for the status and the image and the ego and the codependency and the defensiveness, and gave up on their dreams to make their life about how wonderful their life looks. But it's more operating from ego than truth and love. And it's maybe not very emotionally fulfilling. But by worldly standards, it looks good. And for some people, that's really what they want. And they really don't want a deep, meaningful relationship. Can I find someone who's maybe overwhelmed, who has fears of loving and believing in themselves and believing in their dreams, that will invest in staying in a relationship with me and moving forward in a relationship with me and staying in a relationship with me because of all these other things? Perfect. Let's go do that. We will look like shining stars in the world. It's just that other people kind of see the truth. Yeah, you can make it all day, try to tell people that, oh my gosh, we're so happy and we just love each other so much. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's the foundation for this relationship, but you do you. I just might keep my distance from you and not really care to hang out with you because you seem quite superficial and shallow in shadowy Scorpio energy. And I want to go find the people who seem to maybe be more authentic, shining their more authentic light in the world, who are more truthful and loving and self-aware and not trying to create an illusion in the world. And those are the people I'm going to move forward with. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.